Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Now, we are continuing with on the face of it. Last day, we were reading in page number 60, where actually we saw that a conversation between Derry and Mr. Lamb was going on, and Derry was trying to prove the fact that whenever he comes out of his house, everybody around him, they all actually stare at his face, and they started to criticize it, they started to discuss about it. Mr. Lamb was trying to make Jerry understand that why do you think like this, because there are lots of things to look at. So why should all the people around you, whenever you come out of your house, why all the people they would look at your face? There are lots of things to look at. Now, Jerry again told, and Mr. Lamb actually told about his fairy tale, The Beauty and the Beast. And Jerry told Mr. Lamb that there is no use of telling such fairy tale to him, because they have told, here Jerry wants to say they means his parents, that his parents had already told him about these fairy tales, that in the Beauty and the Beast we saw that a beautiful girl whom ugly, a heinous beast forced to stay with him, and when the beautiful girl kissed that ugly beast, the beast transmitted to a handsome prince. This was the theme of Beauty and the Beast. And Jerry told Mr. Lamb that yes, I am not going to change like this, and Mr. Lamb was also agreed to such a proposal, and Mr. Lamb told yes, that in this way Jerry is not going to change himself, but still he could do something else. But again Jerry was not ready to accept, and Jerry was confined with that thought. Actually, this thought had stuck in his mind in such a way that he only could think that his life had been spoiled and nothing would happen in his life. Mr. Lamb tried his best to make Jerry understand that no, the world is going on, and the world is changing, so something would happen in him. So still Mr. Lamb was trying to take Jerry out of the cocoon of his surroundings, of his own thinking, own thoughts, own ideas, but still he was not successful. Now here, so you will, but the world wouldn't. Now Mr. Lamb also told, okay, if you don't want to change yourself, then you could stay with your world, but with yourself, but the world is going to change. The world would not stop for you. So actually by these Mr. Lamb wanted to say to Jerry that if you really want, or if you really think that you are not going to change, nothing would happen in his in your life, then you will be loser, because the world would not stop for you. Up to this we had completed. Now Jerry's speech, I'm reading from towards the middle of this page number 60, and we are reading on the face of it. Now here Jerry's speech. Do you think this is the world, this old garden? Now Jerry is telling that what world you are talking about. Jerry is telling this to Mr. Lamb. Mr. Lamb told that if you are not going to change yourself, then you may not, but the world will keep on changing itself. Now Jerry asked this question to Mr. Lamb, that what do you mean by this world? Is this garden is only your world? Now Mr. Lamb, where I am here, not the only me, but the world as much as anywhere. Here Mr. Lamb wants to say that where I am here means yes, where I am here in this garden, it's my world, not the only one, but this is not my only world, but the world as much as anywhere. Means Mr. Lamb wants to say that wherever I go, it's my world. Means I can accustom myself wherever I go. I am not so much introvert like you, that I don't want that I am also having 10 leg, but I don't feel or I don't think that other people, whenever I go outside, other people would look at my leg and they would criticize it. I don't feel, I don't bother about that, Mr. Lamb wants to say. Now Jerry told, does your leg hurt you? Jerry asked this, as Mr. Lamb is having one thin leg, and we know that Mr. Lamb had told this, that his real leg had been blown up. Probably he might be a soldier, though his profession was not clearly stated. Now Jerry asked, does your leg hurt you? Means, do you get pain from your leg? Mr. Lamb, tin doesn't hurt, boy. No, tin, my leg is tin. So how tin? I don't get any pain. Where it came off? No. When it came off, did it? Now Daddy asks this. When it came off means when your real leg had came off from your body, when your real leg had been detached from your body, means when it had blown up. Did you get this? Certainly, Mr. Lamb told, yes, certainly, it must be very painful. Jerry, and now, I mean, where the tin stops at the top. Now Jerry told, now means where from the tin had started, means the tin and the original limb of his body has been fixed. So where the tin has fixed with the remaining part of your leg, and at that juncture, at the joint, when the tin leg had joined with that real limb with the part of your leg, does it give pain to you? Now what Mr. Lamb told, now and then in wet weather, it doesn't signify. This is the important thing. It doesn't signify. That tells the positivity of Mr. Lamb. Now Mr. Lamb, Terry is asking that when your tin stops, means at the joining of your tin leg and your original limb. Okay, limb means body part, the original limbs. Okay, the original part of that leg where the tin stops when the tin is joining. So do you get pain from here on that part? Now Mr. Lamb told in his answer, it doesn't signify. It means Mr. Lamb does not bother that he is having a tin leg. On the other hand, Jerry always bothers that he has a burned face. That is the dissimilarity between these two characters that I told since beginning. So here Mr. Lamb told, it doesn't signify, means he does not give any importance at what has happened to him. Oh, that's something else they all say. Now Jerry is telling, oh, they are say, look at those people who are in pain and brave and never cry and never complain and don't feel sorry for themselves. Now Mr. Lamb, actually Jerry is telling, oh, they say, they means my parents had told that look at such people, that there are few people that they have lots of problem, but they do not complain against, they do not get pain, they do not bother. You are that sort of people, isn't it? Means Jerry wants to say this, Mr. Lamb, that I had heard from my parents had told that you are always talking about your friend, you are talking about your face, you always think about your face, but there are a few people who are having this type of problem, but they do not give any importance, they don't bother, they do not, even if they feels pain, they don't have any complaint and all this, so you are that sort of people. Jerry told this to Mr. Lamb. Mr. Lamb told, I haven't said it. Mr. Lamb told, no, I haven't said it. I have not told that I do not bother all the time. I don't have any pain from these. Jerry, and think of all those people worse off than you. Now Jerry is telling, now Jerry is trying to encourage to Mr. Lamb. Jerry is trying to encourage Mr. Lamb. Now think of all those people worse than you. Now Mr. Lamb, Jerry is telling, you think that whose condition is worse than you. Think, you might have been blinded or burned or born deaf or have to live in a wheelchair, to be dropped in your head and dribble. So Jerry told that, think about, Jerry told this to Mr. Lamb, that you must not be sorry for your tail leg, but your condition, few people are there whose condition is worse than your condition. you might have been born, you might have been born deaf, or you might be blinded, so you must not think about it. Here Mr. Jerry is, Jerry is here encouraging Mr. Lamb by telling this. Now Mr. Lamb, how Jerry encouraged that you might be born deaf, or have to live in a wheelchair, or have to live in a wheelchair, or be deaf in your head. And dribble deaf in your head means you don't have any intelligence, you become very blocked headed, that you might be like this, but in spite of all these, you are having a tin leg, so you should not bother about a tin leg. Yeah, Jerry wants to encourage Mr. Lamb by telling this. Mr. Lamb, and that's all true, and it. Mr. Lamb told, yes, what you are telling, it's all true, that yes, I do not bother about, because I think few people are there, or people are also there whose condition is worse than me. So why should I bother about? And you know it. Jerry, it wouldn't make my face change. So what was Jerry's actually thinking? The Jerry, being a handicapped, he was encouraging another handicapped people, deformities, Mr. Lamb, that you must think about those people whose condition is worse than this. So when that Mr. Lamb is telling Jerry that you know all about it, it's all true, so why do you feel like this? On his own point, Jerry is telling that it wouldn't make my face change. Jerry is saying, no, my case is different. Means Jerry can encourage other people and he can try to boost them up, but when the matter comes on his own, when the same question comes on his own deformities, he thinks that his was a special case and he is not going to change. That was Jerry's fault. Do you know, one day a woman went by me in the street. I was at a bus stop, and she was with another woman, and she looked at me and she said, whispered, only I heard, she said, look at that, that's a terrible thing, that's a face only a mother could love. Now Jerry is telling to Mr. Lamb that, you see, that once he was in a bus stop, and he saw that two women was standing away from him and the woman was whispering in between them. Whispering means they were actually conversing in a very low tone. Now one woman was telling the other, pointing to Jerry's face, that it was the ugliest face, and he was telling, and she looked at me, and that woman was looking at Jerry's face, and she said, whispered, only I heard. That the other woman told the another that, look at that terrible thing, this is the ugliest face, and only mother could love this face. Now this is a mentality, this is the mentality. Why? Mentality of Jerry. Now question is, if we judge this rationally, that then two women standing away from him, the bus stop, that here I was standing in a bus stop and he was another woman. Okay, it's not far or near, it's not clear, but the two women was there, they were whispering, and Jerry told, only I could listen, or only I could listen. Now how it would be possible that if two women were whispering between them, and how it would be possible for Jerry to listen to the subject matter about which they were whispering about? Actually, the case is, this is Jerry's mentality. Whoever whispers around him, whoever talks around him, Jerry always thinks that they are only talking about his face. The case is not at all something else. This is practically, if you judge this, that how it would be possible that two women, they were standing away from Jerry and they were whispering between them. How it would be possible that they were, or how Jerry was sure, how could Jerry listen when they were whispering in between? How could Jerry listen that they were talking about his face? It might be the other topic also. But Jerry, this is Jerry's mentality, that Jerry always thought that people around him, they are always talking about his ugly face. Now Mr. Lamb, so you believe everything you hear? Then Mr. Lamb told, oh, so you believe everything? Mr. Lamb told, okay, you have heard it, okay, it's a problem, no problem. But do you believe everything that you listen? Jerry, it was cruel. Jerry told, yes, it was cruel, means it was very harsh, the way they were discussing about my face. Mr. Lamb, maybe not meant as such. Mr. Lamb told, yes, maybe not meant as such, means it was not the case like this as we are discussing, it was not the case like this. Just something said between them, probably there's something said between them, probably they were discussing about other matter. Why do you think that these two women were discussing about your face? They might have discussed, or they were discussing about other matter. So why do you think that they were discussing about your own face, about your face? Only I heard it. I heard. Jerry told, only I heard it. How it is possible? Only I heard it. I heard. So this was Jerry's mentality, as I told, that if people actually around him, if they gossip, if they whisper, if they talk with others, yet obviously the subject matter must be different, because you know, the practical, if you think that if a person comes out with a burned face, why all the people around him always be so much excited about that burnt faced boy? The people are busy with their own job, they have also come out to execute their own job. So where is the time for everyone to gossip about your face only? There are lots of other topics, their own work was there. There are thousands, there are endless number of topics that people may discuss among themselves. Why they should always discuss about Jerry's face? This is very practical thing that Mr. Lamb wants to tell this to Jerry. But Jerry is always thinking that no, people around him, whenever they talk, whenever they gossip, whenever they converse, they always, the topic is the same. The topic is his face, his burnt face. This was a mental problem from Jerry, isn't it? That he always thinks that I am having the ugliest face in the world and people around me always discuss about it. So Jerry always thinks, actually Jerry always suffers from inferiority complex, that I told, inferiority complex. A few people are there, they suffer from superiority complex, that suppose a lady, if she suffers from superiority complex, then the case for that lady might be like this, that whenever the lady comes out of the house, the lady thinks that people around her, they were standing in the road only to have a glimpse of her face, only to see her, the people are standing there in the market. This is superiority complex. Who has told? The people have gone to the market to complete their own job. We don't have much time. People don't have much time to look at that. Look at your beautiful face. The same thing here for Jerry. Understand? So this was Jerry's mentality. Now, Mr. Lamb told there might be other topic also. Why do you think that these two women who were whispering between them, why they should always talk about your face? Jerry told, no, I heard it. Now, Mr. Lamb, and is that the only thing you ever heard anyone say in your life? Mr. Lamb told, this is the only thing that you heard about in your life, that where everyone is discussing about your own face. This is the only thing that you heard in your life? Jerry, oh no, I have heard a lot of things. Jerry told, no, this is not the only thing that I heard. I heard lots of things also. Now, Mr. Lamb, so now you keep your ears shut. Mr. Lamb told, no, keep your ears shut. You must not listen everything that is going around you. Jerry, you are peculiar. No, Jerry told, you are peculiar. Why? Question is why? Why Mr. Lamb appears peculiar to Jerry? Because Jerry had met actually with other people in the span of 14 years, but none of them encouraged him, none of them tried to change his viewpoint as Mr. Lamb was doing. Hence, Mr. Lamb appears to be peculiar to Derry. Understand? Even Derry's parents also did not try or even were not successful in changing Derry's outlook towards life. But Mr. Lamb was trying to change his outlook towards life, and that is why Mr. Lamb was peculiar to Derry. And that is the reason that Derry told, you are peculiar, you know. You say peculiar things, yes, you say peculiar things. You ask questions, I don't understand. He told, I don't understand the question you asked me. Why? Because nobody before these had tried to take Derry out of the cocoon of his thinking, you know, ever. Nobody had tried it ever. And that is the reason that Derry was actually, Derry appeared to be peculiar to Mr. Lamb. Sorry, Mr. Lamb appeared to be peculiar to Derry. Now, here, Mr. Lamb, I like to talk. Mr. Lamb is telling, I like to talk, have company. You don't have to answer questions. You don't have to stop at here at all. The gate is open. Mr. Lamb told, okay, if you think I am peculiar, then no need to stop here. The gate is open. You may go out from my garden. You know, I always like to talk with people. I want to have company. I want that other people should come here. I want the company of other people. Derry, yes, but now see, just remember, when Derry came for the first time in the garden, Derry was in a hurry to go out from the garden because he did not want to stay with other people. But now, when Mr. Lamb is suggesting Derry, the gate is open, you may go out, Derry is not going out of the garden. It means Derry had already been impressed by Mr. Lamb, isn't it? That a person, if he wants to go away from the garden, when but the other person actually forbade him not to go. But now the other person is telling him, the gate is open, you may go out. The next person is not telling him. It means that the next person enjoyed that company of the other person. Means here Derry enjoyed the company of Mr. Lamb, and he did not want to go away from there. That Derry, who always wanted to confine himself, that Derry did not want to go away from Mr. Lamb. It means Mr. Lamb had already cast an influence on Derry, and Derry was impressed about Mr. Lamb. Mr. Lamb, I have a hive of bees behind those trees over there. And Mr. Lamb is telling, I have a beehive behind. Okay. When, when you listen to bees, some hear bees and they say, bees budge. Now again, Mr. Lamb is telling to Derry that I'm having a beehive. Some, they could listen bees. And, they say that bees budge. Budge means, when the bees are flying, they make a sound. So this is buzzing sound. Other people say the bees budge. But when you listen to bees for a long while, they hum. And hum means sing. But Mr. Lamb told. But if you listen very carefully, the sound made by the bees, it may appear to you that bees are humming, means bees are singing. They are not making sound. They are not buzzing, but they are singing. I hear them singing, my bees. Mr. Lamb told that I always hear to sing my bees. Here also, Mr. Lamb wants to tell to Derry that it actually depends on you, that how do you take it. The same thing, other people take that bees are buzzing, making sound, and other people think that they are singing. It depends on your mentality, that how do you take it. Derry, but I like it here. For the first time, Derry is telling, I like it there. So Derry was impressed. I came in because I liked it, and I looked over the wall. Derry told, yes, I looked over the wall and I came in because I liked that garden, and that is the reason I have come here. Now Derry did not want to go back. Now Mr. Lamb, if you had seen me, you would not have come in. Mr. Lamb told, yes, you have come in, but if you had seen me, you would not have come in. If you have seen me. Derry, no. Derry is telling, no. Mr. Lamb, no. No, Derry, I would have been trespassing. Now Derry told, no, it would have been trespassing, means if I saw you sitting here, I must not come inside. Why? Jerry was giving the excuse that if the owner of being the owner of somebody is sitting in the garden, so at first I should take permission of that man. If I did not take the permission, then it would be trespassing. Trespassing means coming inside or entering without permission. So why Jerry is telling that? Jerry is telling that if I had seen you, you are sitting there, I would not come inside. Why? Because it would be trespassing. But now why I have come? Because nobody was sitting there. So from whom I would take permission? That is why I have come. Mr. Lamb. And that's not why. Mr. Lamb told, no, this is not the real cause. This is not the real cause that you would not come inside had you seen me sitting here. I don't like being near people. Jerry is telling that this is the real cause. I don't like being near people. I don't like to stay with other people. When they stare, when I see them being afraid of me, because Jerry always thinks that the people around him, they only stare at his face. Jerry thinks that they have no other thing to execute but only stare at his face, and that gave him a very uncomfortable feeling. And because of that uncomfortable feeling, he told that I don't want to stay with other people. So up to this, I feel you have understood. Do you have any queries? Smith and Akas, if you have, you may ask question. Today we are leaving it here. Okay, thank you. That's a great story. We are leaving it here. Next day again we will continue from there here, and next day we will see that Jerry would, Mr. Lamb would tell a story to Jerry, and we will see this. Okay. Yes, goodbye, and thanking you for joining my class. It's goodbye. We will meet again in our next class.